So 3, 2, 1, we are going live on Facebook, and we are welcoming our participants to Amber Academy's second webinars in a series of webinars that we are organizing right now. Welcome, guys. I'm stalling a bit to wait for people to join on the Zoom webinar as well. And we are welcoming everyone at this moment. And I see the list filling in with people. Welcome, guys. We're happy to have you here. This is Amber Academy Adjusting to Remote, a bit of best practices and what we've seen working for Amber from HR perspective and learning and development perspective. Okay, filling in the list. We are stalling again. Just saying hi, I'm Andrea Motok, Learning and Development Manager in Amber. We have with us Mari, who is Talent Acquisition Lead, and Anna, People Ops Manager, all from Amber. We are happy to have you here and to join. This is going to be something that we're not very used to doing because all of our sessions are usually with more interaction, but luckily you will have the possibility to interact with us during this hour. Either if you are a Zoom participant directly in the webinar, you'll have the chance to ask us questions there. You have a Q&A section, so please use it whenever you have a curiosity and you would like us to answer. And if you are joining from Facebook and you are following us in the live there, you can ask the questions directly in the comments. So someone from our team will pick them up and will let us know what are your curiosities and interests. And before we go a bit into the topic, I'm just happy to say that we are gathering participants from all over the world. We are gathering participants from Mexico, from US. I've seen Belgium, Portugal. I've seen Tunisia, India. So it's really nice to have you here. I hope you are all joining right now. And I'm really curious if there are other countries just popping into the webinar as we speak, because we gave the link and we are live. Please share with us your location. We would really like to know who we are interacting with. So if you don't know Amber yet, we are a development services agency. We have operating offices in more locations in Bucharest, Bogotá, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Mateo, Guadalajara yet. And we are having Amber Academy program is one of our educational programs that emerged out of the community value that we have. We want to give back to the community, so we are it's our way of doing this with you guys. And today, because it's the second webinar in the series, we said that we want to share with you a bit more about how adjusting to remote work for us. Now, as HR people, learning and development people, we were very curious to hear from others, and we've talked a lot in this period with colleagues, from other companies, with friends, and we kind of realized that we are all dealing with the same type of challenges. So today we decided that we want to share more from how we tested some of the things, how we even made a trial and error type of approach, and what actually worked for us in 3 dimensions. So today we are going to tackle a bit of CSR, corporate social responsibility, learning and development and recruitment side, from the perspective of what are the best practices that we noticed in this period, in this COVID-19 forced remote type of environment. Because we are emerging this workshop from the premises that we all adapted, we all adjusted one way or another. And luckily, some of the companies that were already used to working remote like having branches, offices in locations worldwide. Somehow remote working was the same, but what this context created is it was with a new set of challenges that we faced and we needed to adapt on. Even if we are talking about economical type of situations, or if we talk about technical types of situations, adapting our tools, or if we're talking about emotional type of situation, because all of us went through different stages of dealing with the context that affected how we continue our work, affected business continuity maybe at some point in time. So we wanted to share with you some of the best practices that we've seen in the market and what it worked. And from Amber's side, we will share some insights on what worked for us per se. Now, for us, we are a company that appreciates a lot face-to-face connection when it comes to each local office, and we are that type of culture that is a go-to type of culture. You go to the person, you solve the issue immediately in an agile type of mindset. So even if we were used to work remote with our stakeholders, our partners worldwide, we still needed to adapt some of the things. And in terms of CSR, making corporate social responsibility in online was quite different from us. In terms of learning and development, making sure that learning is still a continuous process in a context where people have less availability, mental availability, physical availability, because they're focused on operational more, it's a challenge. In recruitment, even if IT market, gaming market is more resilient to economical context, going through the same force with recruitment, having to recruit at the same capacity in a context where people, let's say, are more reluctant to change jobs, it's still a challenge. So we want to tackle all of this, and we'll take it one by one. First, we'll go directly through recruitment, and I will let Mari take the stage and share with you guys her perspective with the current challenges and how everything worked out for us. So Mari, the stage is yours right now.
Thank you, Andrea. Hi guys, thank you for your time. Right now, a lot of things changed. And today I would like to talk about two main things. The IT recruitment through pandemic times and end-to-end recruitment process, and how we digitalized our process relying on the best practices. Right now, the world is in chaos right now. Does it really make sense for me to take another job? Do you still hire? Is your company safe? It's affected by the pandemic? These are the most common questions that us recruiters hear from candidates when it comes to attract them. As you know, and also as you can see right away. Thank you, Andrea. As you can see here, the hiring slowed down in many companies and industries like energy, travel, retail. But what about the IT market? It's clear that IT infrastructure and business development, although strongly affected, seems to be the best spot when it comes to the hiring layoffs ratio. Some will perish, some will come out even stronger after that. How does it impact the recruitment? Well, people are more cautious about change. And in times of changing, such tendency grows. And depending on how the outbreak lasts and its impact on businesses in long term, we can expect more applications once the company starts to react and optimize their workforce according to the new demand and the market conditions. Well, talent acquisition has always been a demanding discipline. And fortunately for us, remote working is possible thanks to the modern technology. And today I will talk about 3 steps in the process: sourcing, interview, and testing. Regarding the sourcing part, well, savvy recruiters are already using sourcing candidates through online channels like LinkedIn, Facebook, Best Jobs. It doesn't matter the site. But what has changed? After having lots of interview this period, we saw that the candidate mentality changed. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous. Changed because they want to be safe. They want to feel safe. And that's why we need to do more to stand out and make them feel secure about our opportunity. Also, what we saw in the market is that our candidate approach also changed. The best practice is to give them confidence in the future of your business and the role they're applying for. We have to show empathy and be transparent and give them info, a lot of info. Also, what is changed right now is that we recruiters started to think like a candidate. We have to take on their unique perspective and anticipate their questions in order to support them with what they need when they need. A good thing that happened is that the number of applicants has increased. Since so many people have been left without a job overnight, we have a lot of applications for available jobs. This calls on a human resource department to take an extra effort to meet the demand and supply the employment. What changed here in Amber? Maybe not just in Amber. Well, we become friends with our candidates. We are transparent and give them a lot of info, maybe too much sometimes, about the industry, about how pandemic affects or not the gaming industry, about our projects, our openings, just to make them feel secure about the opportunity that we are offering right now. Well, after the sourcing part, when we were able to convince the candidate to come to an interview, it becomes the next step, the interview. So thank you, Andrea. We have to get comfortable with the video interviews. Many companies were already doing this. In the market are already many solutions to facilitate the process, like Skype, Zoom, Teams, even recruitment bots. After reading several articles about how big companies are facing the situation, I saw that the biggest change for all of us has been shifting the whole recruitment process fully online, with all our interviews happening through video. But we are having good parts also here. Since we are seeing the people in their home environment rather than a conference room, it provides a unique opportunity to make the interview experience more personal. You can get to know the person before to even get to their competencies because video call allows it. You can see their workspace, you can see behind, I don't know, pictures, even you can see books on their table, coffee cups. You can also have that personal touch that we have in face-to-face in the office. Also, a good part about the video interview switch is that speeds up your time to hire, because now the interviews are more accessible for the candidates. There's no more waiting to have free time to come in our office. With video interview, they can block out only the necessary time for the interview rather to, I don't know, lose time on the way to our offices. When we were on site, it was easy for us, recruiters and hiring managers, to manage the discussion and to know when it's everybody's turn to speak and ask their question. What changed, not only in Amber, in other companies, is that the recruiter became a facilitator. The recruiter now makes sure that the candidate has all the instructions needed to connect to the application where the interview will take place. The candidate is informed by the recruiter that all the participants are using the video to see each other. That way we keep that personal touch. Right now the recruiter has to ensure a flow of discussion, make sure that all the participants ask their own questions, and at the end of the interview everything is clear, and the candidate has all the info that he needs, and also us. And as the researcher says, for a while this will be the model that we're gonna use, at least for a long period of time. So we have to get comfortable with the video interviews and be well prepared for them. And after that, on my agenda, I have one question there about the testing part. Many companies already test the candidates online. And we have many tools to use for that. So we can see that that are no changes here, right? But for us, by far, was a challenge. Yes, we also test online our candidates for several roles like programmers, artists, designers, but the major change was in the QA department. We had and we still have a very complex recruitment process. Interview with HR and technical, English test, and a practical test. They had to test an application, a game, and identify as many bugs as they can. Super easy and straightforward. It lasts at least 1 hour and a half. Super easy, super straightforward. What was difficult for us? Well, because of the NDAs, we could not give the candidates the application home to test it. So after many discussions, we came to the idea that we can make it online using pictures and videos from that game and let the candidates identify in that pictures and videos bugs and write them down on our template, our online template. We test that and we learned that our recruitment process has been extended because we agree with the candidates when they want to take the test, and that maybe happens in a 2 day, 1 day, a week. So that was something we learned from the process, and we are trying to adapt that process even now. As a conclusion, I can say that recruiters, at least me and my team, we saw this period like an evolution period because the recruitment is here to support the business and also the candidates. We are here to maintain and keep that human approach, at least how we can do that through video interviews, to understand the candidates, their problem, and also the need of the business, to over communicate with the candidates because they need info, a lot of info. And also to adapt to every situation whenever the market requires that.
Mari, can I interrupt you for a
Sure,
second? Because I think you said the magic words. It was actually a question that one of our attendees asked in the enrollment form before, and it was about the market, more specifically with the Guadalajara market in IT and recruitment in that side. If there are studies or what are the challenges there compared to the market in Romania or in other locations?
Well,
so yes, please.
Are kind of same. They are not, at least what I saw, they're not that studies dedicated on the market in Guadalajara. It's about the whole IT recruitment globally. So we are facing with two
similar.
Yeah, exactly. And we have the positive one where we have lots of candidates because they are applying right now to all over the place. But also we have the problem that they are a little bit scary about doing this change.
So it's like we were talking before, it's like a paradox. Somehow there are more people wanting to looking for a job at this moment in time because unfortunately the economical situation for some reached to the point where they need to change jobs. But in the same time, for the IT market, and if we are talking about looking for experts in the market, because the industry is more resilient to the crisis, people are more reluctant to change. So it's like a paradox, and this is where the difficulty in recruitment in IT and gaming right now is.
And how you attract them to you. That's important. How do you attract them, and how do you approach them to convince them that you are the best company for them right now?
True. And we have another question. Thank you, Mihaela, for addressing this. So the question is, how responsive were the candidates in terms of the recruitment process? And what difficulties did you encounter, per se, in the responsiveness that they had?
We have super easy recruitment process. It's one interview with the HR and the technical part, the hiring managers, the test, the home test that we are using right now, and then the final decision, the offer, and onboarding online and so on. Yes, well, we had candidates that were so I don't know, they weren't interested right now in this period, but they want to maintain the discussion after this period.
So they are open to
Yes, are open to have
approaches.
discussions, are open to see what the market is right now and what we have to offer them, but they are not going for the final step in the process.
So the decision
yes,
is slower at this moment in
slower,
time.
yes, maybe with 1 month or 2 months, like that.
Okay, if there are other questions specifically for recruitment area that you were interested in, things that you were interested in knowing, please address them in the Q&A section. If you are watching us on Facebook right now, on Facebook Live, just pop a comment there, and someone from our team is redirecting the questions to us, so we will be able to answer to them live.
Well,
if we don't get
sorry,
to answer,
yes? I saw a question on Facebook that if we have position like juniors in Amber Guadalajara. Yes, guys, just check our website, our career page, and you will find there all our openings. Yes.
I can assure you that we asked nobody from the team to ask that question. So that was a branding without wanting to do that. So yes, thank you for the questions. And even if we are not able to answer to all of them right now, we'll make sure to reply back in written after the webinar ends, because we have limited time, only 1 hour. Okay, so thank you, Mari, and thank you everyone for asking these questions. Let's switch a bit to the next phase, and to learning and development. And here, from this perspective, like I said at the beginning, the challenge was to make sure that learning is continuous. And I have many friends in the industry dealing with the same. We were wondering, okay, how can you still go full steam ahead when people actually confront with less availability from this part? Is like operational focus, definitely it's higher. So going a bit through talks with stakeholders, with people from other companies, researching a lot also on the studies and what is happening on the market right now, not only in IT but globally, I've extracted some best practices that I've noticed. And from those best practices and from things that I experienced myself as a participant of learning, I've also seen and noticed some reverse effects from the good intentions that we as development, training, consultants, specialists had as intentions behind. And out of that, of course, there were a lot of actions done in Amber as well. And from those actions, we draw some lessons. And we are actually even still drawing the lessons right now and extracting the learnings, because it's a work in progress. So we're going to share with you where we are at this moment in time. Now, in terms of best practices, for sure, these are not the only not the only ones. There are many things that specialists tried in the past months to make sure that learning is continuous. One of those, and of course the most common, was that we are transitioning everything online. Safety is the most important, and this was one of the things that most of the companies put first in their agenda. Safety for people is number one. And because of that, of course, learning cannot happen in a classroom anymore. We cannot gather people in a room, and needs to go 100% online. So either we talk about transitioning the programs that were live, hard skills program, soft skills program, transitioning them to a synchronous type of learning, virtual instructor-led type of trainings, or you made use of platforms like e-learning type of platforms, learning management system type of platforms. Either you're using things on the market already existing, or you have something, or you had something already integrated. This is something that happened for most of us. And the second thing that I noticed, and we also created here in Amber, was a focus on soft skills at the beginning of the crisis. And this is normal. because we cannot learn when our brain is on fire thinking on safety. We cannot open our mind to development when we think on how to solve crisis. So the learning came to tackle that part, to help our people develop the emotional resilience in this context, have to deal with the crisis better, for leaders have to deal with crisis management, and actually get better at creating a work-life balance in a situation where everything is twisted and turned around. And another thing that was actually very common in the market before the crisis was that the time of learning reduced dramatically. As we emerged into technology, and not only, even the live sessions were reduced to learning pills, to micro-learning type of formats. And what happened now, I think more than before, and this is one of the things that all learning experts try to do, was to recreate the in-person feel of the sessions, help people adapt to this type of learning, feel like they are still engaged 100% and involved in the learning process, even if the session is shorter. And if it's instructor-led, or even more, if it's just e-learning, looking at a screen, you want to recreate as much as possible the live experience to keep people engaged. And I see that you have questions that are still on recruitment side. We will make sure to leave a round of questions towards the end of the session and come back to this type of areas. So thank you. Address them. We will tackle them in the end. Now, if we go further, and this is a model that, in terms of methods and what works, it's a model that Training Industry Magazine published at the beginning of the year. I found it interesting to look at from the perspective of, is there any change now in terms of methods and how they are placed in this map? We're looking at methods that were tested. Some of them, I was very sad to see that they are still underused. I was hoping to see a more boost on the methods like simulations, adaptive type of learning, social type of learning, but it seems that they are still massively underused globally in the market. So if we're looking at all of this, it's interesting to see what has happened in this period as best practice with this method. And if we're looking at the virtual type of methods like webinars, virtual instructor-led type of training, e-learning, mobile learning, videos or podcasts, most of them fall into the category of often used but less useful. Right now, what learning and development experts, training consultants need to face was to work with these methods and make them useful, because this is the only tool we have. We cannot go along with having them and not have the impact that we expect for them, because this is the only thing that we have as a measure to develop and to continue to help our people grow. And what happened is that the focus was on those types of methods, and from all the good intentions in the world, what happened in the industry, what happened with companies, what happened with learnings and learning formats, and the focus on trying as much as possible to adapt really fast and to give people the type of learning, because maybe sometimes we were afraid that continuous learning will have to suffer. It created from bits and pieces, it created a reverse effect. And some of the actions that I've seen from good intention was that the first one was we wanted to create connection in training sessions, either they are virtual led, in meetings, and even with business people, managers in different industries, they tried to have virtual check-in more often to create this connection. And it applies even more for companies like ours that appreciates this type of relationships. So what created for everyone was a reverse effect of saturation and even exhaustion, because spending too much time in front of the computer, spending too much time in meetings, spending too much time in virtual type of learning, not moving from the chair, creates a shaky work-life balance in the end, because you end up at 10 p.m. in the evening and you're still there maybe. And this on a long term is definitely not sustainable. And we realized that while testing it. And when I say we, I mean all people in the industry who tested this type of approach. And another thing that happened was, from the desire of maintaining productivity, on having business continuity, the operational focus that we all had to make things work, and it's a normal type of focus because it's what keeps us surviving. What it created is going to the last points and transitioning the points that were strategical from the agenda and from our focus, either we are HR people or managers, and we have basically ended up in having less availability for strategical decisions and learning. And the focus on the methods as well, because we wanted to make those e-learning instruments work. The focus on the methods in order to create an engaging learning sometimes made us put too much emphasis on that and less on the applicability or on what people actually have as know-how and learn in the end. And if we go back to this map, actually, my question was, when seeing all of this, is how can we make those things that are so useful and integrate them somehow in the part that is considered less useful, and it's our only way of helping people to grow and learn at this moment in time. And this is something that we tried to from different perspectives, and this is a model that I like a lot from building a learning organization. It's from the fifth discipline of Peter Senge, and one of the things that stands at the basics when building a learning program for sure is the need. And when I talk about the need, I'm looking and I'm trying to identify gap of skills, and all programs are built starting from that. What happened with the current need is that it changed, and the context changed everything that was on the map for us before. It was more focused on the emotional area of people, the mental health and the safety needs. So for sure, I cannot look at the same things that were on my priority list as learning topics, because first I need to tackle those. Leadership development as a strategical choice. And right now, in this context, I believe the need is still there. Because if I'm thinking at HR teams across the globe, HR business partners, learning and development consultants, the teams, no matter how high the number of the team members is, we still cannot cover anyone in the organization. So focusing on leadership development, helping leaders deal with this, because there was a lot of pressure on them, making the calls fast for people to be safe, doing things, adjusting, adapting processes in order for business to continue. The pressure was high. So focusing on their learning needs, or maybe not even learning, just on what type of support they needed in this period, is strategical choice. Because in the end, they're turning this support back to the people in the organization. And you as L&D, as HR, you cannot go towards everyone. You are just a few compared to hundreds or thousands in an organization. So the leader must become a pillar, and you need to support that leader to be that pillar that you want in the organization. So this was one. And the second that is absolutely essential and sometimes is forgotten is the applicability of the action that you are doing. If people in the organization are not applying what they are learning, no matter how they are learning it, in the near future, that impact and the results and the return on investment of that action decreases a lot. So for us, and this is an interesting study case, and we are still learning from it. it was about introducing the learning in the flow of life. It's not my phrase. It's a phrase from Josh Bersin. I loved it a lot because actually I was using it before looking at his reports last year in 2019 and talking about that. I was using it and I was saying I'm mingling in the operational life. I am going there 100% in the operational life. I want to know what people are doing. I'm mingling in their activity in order for me to be able to support their learning and continuous development. So this comes, and I believe that especially in crisis situation, this comes as a very important tool for us L&D people to help and support the organization and the members of the organization. Being there, creating support type of lines, support on need. Just giving an example, you have a manager in your organization that is facilitating a new type of meeting for the first time, or needs to take decisions, tough decisions, in a way that he never did before. If you are able to support that person right there before he does that and enters that process, it's you're tackling the need and you're also tackling the applicability of your action. And it's the value of this type of action, it's, I believe, 10 times higher than any other type of development. And it's also about being, having a mindset of agility when it comes to learning. Do the custom made when it needs to be done, and go there and be able to support it on a need base. And this comes in many areas, and it can even mean you modeling the behavior. If you are an internal learning and development person, trainer, HR business partner, or even in other areas, you have the immense opportunity to teach others through each interaction that you have with managers and people in the organization. So use it and you can model the behavior. You have a meeting with a group of stakeholders, do that meeting, facilitate that meeting exactly using the tools that you are teaching them in training. It creates a space for learning that is applicable immediately, and they are picking up on it really fast. And of course they need to want it, and the desire needs to be there, because if it's not there, probably they will not attend to our events. But what I've learned, and I've learned right now with this action, and I was telling you it's a case study for us still, we offer this support only type of approach. So it's like a line open for everyone. If you need it, call me and set a meeting, and I will be there to support you whenever you need it. But if people don't know exactly what they can get out of it, maybe they want it, but they don't know they want it. So cultivating the desire by promoting through the right channels, by going to the right people, it's essential in this matter. And how we did it was to focus, and it was a connection between the need, the current need. So we went back to the drawing board as the leaders. What do you need now? What are the essential skills that you need now? After that, we recreated the programs, and we went up having a leadership soft skills pack that they actually wanted now, and used that to make sure that, use that platform of learning that people wanted to be able to share the information on the other program. And then it worked, because we started having internal clients asking for support in that line, because they knew about it and they understood the value out of it. So it was all connected in this matter, and it was really interesting, because these essential skills that they said they need and we offered them at the right moment created even higher number of participants than before. Like Mari was saying, for recruitment, like we have more people looking. Well, guess what? In webinars, I had more attendees than I could have in a classroom, when I was even limited by the number of seats that I had available. So that was even better at one point in time. And the last one is the availability. And the availability principle says that, okay, you have the need, people want it, they can apply that need. But if the programs aren't available and at immediate reach for them, well, you have everything for nothing, because you cannot deliver. Now, what happened in the market in this period is that there were a lot of things available. And we also took advantage of the things that the community has shared with us. So e-learning, learning platforms, they were there and we shared with them, and we took advantage of what was there from the community side. But also here, it was about making strategical choices, because you cannot share everything. Sometimes they need to be adapted to the first three areas that we mentioned before, to what people need right now, and to what they can accommodate right now in their current context. So we are still learning in the part of how to make the message reach everyone in the organization. If I were to take some conclusions out of everything right now, one of them is that it needs to be applicable for people. And another one is that you need to give them the space to adapt and adjust. And it was really important for us when we did that, because when we stopped everything and came to ask everyone, okay, let's take it from the beginning. What do we need right now? And then you can actually start building on all the other areas and give the programs that they need. And the availability from their side, I believe it will increase. So I am looking forward for your questions. I see something on the chat, but I'm not able to watch right now. And I see a question here. Are there any specific learning needs you could identify specifically for intercultural teams that need to collaborate online? Well, here I think that what was on the market already and what companies built to adapt to that was that if they were already working with intercultural teams, meaning that you have offices around the globe, they were still working together. So one way or another, the needs in this sector, I think it remained the same, because the same people were collaborating with the same with other people in the organization before the crisis. What changed for real was the fact that we became, let's say, less available from different perspectives to do that and to reach out to people, or to actually focus on a good collaboration, at least at the beginning, where our emotional area was still, and our brain was still trying to adjust to what was happening. So this is why I believe that maybe one of the things that is really helpful is bring those teams that are collaborating, and this becomes a need, not of learning, but a facilitation. Bring that team in a meeting and facilitate an agenda for them to reset the table, to give the team a reset. What do we need right now? What are our current needs in order to face the operational challenges together? What needs to be done? Clarity on what needs to be done. Clarity on the goal, because you're not interacting maybe that often and aligning that often. So it's not a learning needs, a learning per se. It's more on bringing people together to be able to decide together what they need to do, everyone to understand each other's needs and their context. And I'm talking here about people working from home with kids around. And if you are alone in the house, you cannot imagine how tough it is for that person. Or the other way around, if you don't have anyone around, it might be tough for you to deal with that. And your emotional availability to collaborate with people might be reduced. So bringing everyone at the same table to discuss might be very useful. So if you have also people coming back, this is another question, people coming back from technical unemployment, do you have some trainings or instruments in place for them to readapt? Most of the sessions, and luckily number for some disciplines, we have beginner type of trainings for people to learn as they go. And we can give you more details in written. Afterwards, I can answer back with more details in written here on the Zoom question, because I want to make room for Anna and for the stage to be taken over by the CSR area. So thank you guys, continue to ask the questions. We will pick them up later. So Anna, The
Yes,
stage is yours.
thank you, Andrea, for passing the mic. I'm so glad that we have such a great representative group of attendees from all over the world, and questions are coming and coming. Um, Thank you, everybody, for participating, and I'm really hoping that we can bring you here useful and relevant information extracted from our day-to-day activity. But first of all, congrats, Mariana and Andrea, not just because you are my beautiful and so smart partners in crimes, but because of these really important information that you have just shared with all of us. Taking into considerations the times that we are living right now, and the fact that we are socially distanced, we have all noticed that social responsibility closed us more than ever. And this is why I chose to talk about CSR social responsibility projects that we are developing right now. Therefore, I will continue talking about best practices in the industry. Why not? Then a little bit about our difficulties while considering switching from offline to online. And in the end, I'll share with you two very close to my heart CSR projects. Going back to best practices, what we have noticed observing gaming companies is that most of the companies, and not just from the gaming niche industry, but from the entire ITNC one, chose to make donations. In a way or another, companies donate amounts of money to different causes, especially to the health system, because we have to admit we depended and we still depend on our doctors, nurses, medical people, and of course, performant medical equipment. So most of the companies chose to donate, and actually they involved their employees to and encourage people to donate by committing of making a double donation after people were putting their money on different causes. What companies did, they facilitate the entire donation process. They provided information about platforms, about NGOs. They also checked these NGOs that were fighting and raising money for different types of social causes, provide good communication and updated information to employees so they can involve from home to these causes. Another thing that we've noticed was that people, colleagues, um, create volunteer groups helped by companies or on their own. And they were courageous people going out and helping, especially causes like lonely and old people. They brought food to these people, and to poor also to poor families with many children, people that most of the time were having difficulties providing food and everything they needed for their day-to-day. And a third best practice that companies did, they chose to donate their outdated technical equipment and devices, especially to schools, because schools moved, or at least they did their best to move their activity online, and not all of them could provide technical equipment to children. Therefore, companies chose this time to donate the old technical devices to schools or to children directly. Moving forward and coming back to Amber, and our constant preoccupation for CSR projects, because by the way, one of our core values in Amber is community. How do we translate community? We translate it by civic spirit, by giving back to giving back. And giving back could mean giving back to our colleagues, giving back to the community we are part of, giving back to younger people, younger generations, and so on and so on. When people ops team together with our digital agency started to reconsider CSR projects and reconvert these from offline to online. First of all, we took the pulse of our colleagues. We wanted to understand if there's still energy and if there's still engagement there. We wanted to see if people still want to help and they are not how should I say, overwhelmed and sick of everything that was going on out there. And happily, we found out that people, yes, want to participate and want to be part of our CSR projects. What we did next and what was our next step was to see what kind of CSR projects are tempting for them and what they consider exciting and what are the types of activities they should participate to. And the answer was quite very easy. They wanted to be involved in application development, game development, art projects, and of course, last but not least, they wanted to donate. What we did was to come to them with projects on their needs and with different types of projects, many type of projects, and let them actually choose. No push, no rush. What we did was just to come with several projects, let them choose from this bunch of CSR projects, and of course support, continue develop the CSR projects. Moving on, I will tell you about two CSR projects. You can see actually here how they were promoted. It's the design that we or our partners used to promote in social media, because promotion moved more than ever on social media. First project, it's very close to our activity, very close to our industry, and happened like this. One day, one of our dear friends and partners in educational programs, Andrei Strate from Game Dev Academy, came up with a kind of new but also old type of project, a game jam. A game jam, but adapted to the quarantine conditions that we are still living, um, which was actually not just a game jam, but a game jam with a special cause, raising funds for our healthy system. What's a game jam? A game jam is a hackathon for video games. Teams formed from programmers, designers, artists gather for the purpose of creating from scratch games based on a given theme. But within a short span of time, 24 hours, 48 and at no more than 72 hours. After this span of time, a jury is evaluating the developed games, and in the end, these are awarded by different types of categories. What happened during Jam de Casa for our foreign attendees? This name means homemade jam. It's a game of words. The name of this project. What happened in the end with this project? It took 4 days, not just 24 hours. Almost 300 people started to develop games. 72 games have been developed, and in the end 41,000 lei have been raised and redirected to an NGO called Zi de Bine, that is going to buy medical equipment for our health system. Amber was part of this project, donating money, and also people that wanted to actually see these games playing or developing or participating in developing these games, also donated money for this cause. So we supported, we people in Amber, and Amber as a company supported this project with money, and hope we'll see more of this kind happening in the future. The second one is quite unique, and it was actually proposed by our digital agency. This is dedicated to people who are still risking their health and chose not to go home to their families. There are people that are in the front line during these pandemic times, doctors, nurses, but also people that are working as cashiers, as delivery guys, or everyone who nowadays take the bullet in the service of each one of us. The project was targeted to artists in Amber and in the gaming industry, who via their own artistic message are supposed to create designs that in the end will be exposed in a virtual exhibition. But our desire is to come back to old days and to organize an outdoor exhibition with all these designs, thanking one more time and appreciating one more time the contribution of these people that had no choice and needed to support all of us through their jobs. So these are so far in a very, very short time information about our CSR entire jobs and process. If there are any questions, I will be gladly responding to them in writing or just right here.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing all of the wonderful projects that Amber was involved in this period. Now, I think we don't have much time, so we're going to spend only 1 more minute on this one. Thank you for the questions. We're going to try to pick them up on Facebook later to answer to everything. There's one that might be interesting. It's out of the things that we wanted to tackle today, but it's part of the reality, and it's how did you handle the paperwork in CSR, recruitment, admin, I believe, everything that is related to HR. So this is an interesting question. Thank you for it. Let's see. Did we transition, and were we able to do everything without the paperwork in this period?
I will answer very, very quickly, and then I will let Mari respond to. From the admin perspective, we have one colleague that is handling and is managing the entire HR admin processes. And yes, paperwork is quite a lot. We are 450 people in Bucharest and Botoșani. And after observing that we are not going to come back very, very fast to our job, we chose to send all the documentation to all our employees that had, for example, addendums or any other sorts of documentation. So first of all, we prepared everything and we did everything as we used to do while we were in the office, but keep all these documentation to the home office of our HR admin. And after a while, we decided to send everything to our employees via delivery companies in Bucharest.
Thank you so much. I think we've fed this curiosity right now for all the areas that the question had. So thank you for the questions. I see there are a few, but unfortunately our time is up. But we made the promise to reply on the Facebook Live video. I believe there were some questions there as well. So we will make sure to reply all of them after this broadcast. So thank you everyone for joining and for your interest in the topics, and have a wonderful day ahead. This was Amber Academy, Andrea, Mari, and Anna. Thank you. It was a pleasure, and with a lot of nervous from our side as well, because it's the first time when we do this type of webinar. We're more used to having face-to-face interaction, or at least to see you guys, but it was quite a lesson for us as well. So thank you for joining, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to learn. Have a wonderful day, no matter where you are around the globe.
Thank you, Andrea, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.